Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dope. I'm Maui, and I'm having dinner. I'm excited this week. We're going to talk about a little bit about some geek news in the top of the show, and then a little bit after that, we're going to talk about Black cinema. We're going to review Judas and the Black Messiah, and have a little deeper conversation about Black cinema. I feel like we're in a renaissance of Black filmmakers. I think we're in a renaissance for a lot of different types of filmmakers that we haven't really seen before. Black cinema, queer cinema. I'm seeing some amazing artistry coming out from people that haven't really gotten to tell their story. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm not going to have this conversation by myself. To join me is my co-host every week, Stephanie. What's up, Stephanie? How you doing?
Hello, I'm all right. I'm, just trying to get through the rest of this winter.
Just a squirrel trying to get a nut. I feel you.
Oh.
And we have a third person who's going to be with us today. My dear friend, Alana. Alana, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. Same, just trying to survive this cold and snow.
I feel that. There's a ridiculous amount of snow outside right now.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Macking on some salmon.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. You know. So, let's see. What's new in the geek news this week? Have either of you watched the new Snyder Cut trailer?
I've seen parts of it.
So they just released it, I think, on Valentine's Day, I think is when it came out. The Snyder Cut trailer.
Yeah.
So I'll preface this by saying it is not my cup of tea. It's not my DC universe that I grew up reading. It's a very deconstructed, dark Zack Snyder version of things. But what I will say is that it is a cohesive, singular POV. That's, I think, pretty obvious that this was the intended product, and as such, just from that, obviously, to me, it looks more consistent as opposed to the Frankenstein monster that was the Joss Whedon directed Justice League. So, some really cool shots in there. Darkseid is in it, which is pretty dope. I love Darkseid. There's a Joker. The Joker is in it, and he doesn't look like he did in Suicide Squad. It's Jared Leto, but it's not like the Suicide Squad version of that, which is nice. So that was exciting to see. I much more like this version of him. Apparently, there's some scene where I think it's taking place in Batman nightmare world, where he's interrogating the Joker. This looks really, really interesting. I'm sure it'll be a much more enjoyable film than Whedon's, but still not really that excited for it. So, Stephanie, you were just telling me about Taylor Swift is releasing yet another album.
Yeah, I'm very. This is pretty much all I'm excited about these days. Is Taylor Swift's doing? She put out 2 brand new original albums last year, and now this year she's starting the endeavor of doing her re-recordings. I don't know if everyone knows kind of the drama that has happened with Taylor Swift and her ex record company, but due to a lot of drama and a lot of problems, Taylor Swift is re-recording her entire first 6 albums. And she's starting with her second album, which I should really know as a Swiftie what year Fearless came out. Let's see.
As a Swiftie, did you say?
As a Swiftie, that's what we call ourselves.
I love it.
Fearless came out in 2008. She has already released Love Story. Everyone knows Love Story. That re-recording has been released, and it is, it's my least favorite song on the album because it's so overplayed, but it's still so good.
What's the song?
Love Story. I'm sure you know that one, Maui.
How's it? Was that the "It's a Love Story" and something? That song,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
like Romeo and Juliet and something, and I pooped a lot.
Yeah, even Maui knows the words.
Oh, I know some words. I don't know if those are the words, but I remember something about Romeo and Juliet. So she's literally just like re-recording and then re-releasing songs that she did at the beginning of her career.
Yep.
And people are gonna buy them again.
I mean,
Wow.
I already have. Yeah, lots of emphasis on artists owning their own music as opposed to a record company owning music.
But if she doesn't own that music, how is she able to re-record it?
She got permission from her ex-record company to re-record them after they've been out for a certain number of years. So because Fearless has been out since 2008, she can release that as well as a few of her other earlier albums.
How many albums does she have?
She has 9 albums now.
Holy moly!
That's counting the 2 that she put out last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's crazy. That's a lot of albums for a very short period of time. She's not that old.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm really excited because she's releasing 6 new songs from the vault. She's saying that she wrote in the Fearless era, that she wrote back in 2008, and is finally getting them professionally recorded and put out. I've been a Swiftie since the first album, so I really grew up on Taylor Swift music. I was in middle school when Fearless came out, and I remember going to Target and buying it, and then going back to Target buying the Platinum Edition. So I'm really excited to like kind of relive those years of my life through this re-released music, and I know a lot of other Swifties are too.
That's cool.
Well, you, Alana, what you got new in the geek world or the pop culture world? What you on?
I feel like nothing's super new. I've just been like debating people about the whole Gina Carano like leaving Star Wars, because a lot of people are like, boycott Disney because she's gone, and I'm kind of just like, she got warned like not to say anything problematic, and she said something problematic. So sorry, just stop trying to drag my boy Pedro into this, because
For real. Oh my god.
As Last of Us, which I never really played that game, but it's like I like the story of it. So then to find out like he's gonna be the main character in that, I'm like, okay, it's cool. I can see him. Yeah, don't come for Pedro. Leave Pedro alone. Gina.
So what are people coming at Pedro for?
Well, they were saying because he made a comment comparing the U.S. to Nazi Germany. So people are like, well, he said something referencing Nazism. How come he's not getting fired? It's like, okay, because Disney told him to shut up, and he did. And also his comparison made sense. Whereas Gina Carano, hers was kind of like Republicans can't say what they want to anymore. And then compare that to like Jewish people getting killed in the Holocaust.
Wait, are they equating? Because I remember that comment. He was saying he was comparing the U.S. holding children in cages at the border.
Yeah, to a conflict, which I'm like, makes sense.
Which is a much more apt comparison as opposed to somebody saying that like them being criticized for their horrible racist views is like Nazi Germany is ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's where a lot of people are like, well, it's still a compare, but it makes no sense, and it's one of those people are just lacking the nuance of I don't know if it's like lacking the nuance of understanding history or just being mad and wanting to blame cancel culture, while also giving in to cancel culture because they want to cancel Disney. So it's like, what?
well, right, because and this is something that I think I've realized recently. Any tool we come up with to fight the oppressor will eventually get co-opted by the oppressor. So it will only be effective for so long.
That's true.
Right? So, for example, a lot of the advances we got in the 60s and 70s happened through the courts, through the judiciary. Right? a lot of that stuff has been dismantled using those exact same tactics from the civil rights movement. Neocons used to dismantle those protections that we were able to put in place through the judiciary, like affirmative action in schools. That was dismantled. Thurgood Marshall's life's work was dismantled by some like stupid neocon who decided to like argue that those protections weren't needed anymore. And then when those protections were taken away, schools just naturally resegregated. You know, even though there's no necessarily Jim Crow anymore, it's still completely resegregated the schools just because that's what they were built for. That's what that institution was built for. So yeah, that's wild. But Stephanie, what are your thoughts on Gina Carano getting booted from The Mandalorian?
What are my thoughts?
Yeah.
About time.
Girl, bye.
Yeah, and it's so funny because me and Abby, my girlfriend, have been talking about this a lot this week because it was trending on Twitter that she got like a new film deal like right away, and everyone was like, oh, you know, she prevails and she's gonna be okay and she got a new film deal. Like, okay, but when you look at the details, she's writing it and she's directing it and she's it herself and she's starring in it, and it's like
very Tommy Wiseau, like,
and it's with who's it with?
It was very Tommy Wiseau of her to be like starring in it, producing it, like directing it.
By the way, I'm a big fan of The Room. That movie is amazing.
It is a piece of treasured history forever.
It is amazing. Did you see the movie that James Franco did on that? The
Disaster Artist.
Oh, so good.
It was perfect.
Yeah. That's wild, man. I can't believe just how crazy things get. That's another piece of geek news, right? Pedro Pascal being cast in Last of Us. I played Last of Us. First of all, that game is amazing. And I'm really excited to see him in that role. But not just that. The girl playing Ellie is
Lady Mormont.
Lady Mormont from Game of Thrones, which is super exciting.
I think that's her name.
She's like 18 now. Yeah,
she looks. She's still 10. Like I'm just like she's still like, who is this? She looks older than 10, but I keep associating her with 10. Like I'm like, oh, well, she's like 10, 12. Mm-hmm. She's a whole adult.
Well, I thought she was like 14, but apparently she's like 18 already.
Wow.
Yeah, time flies. Yeah, that's a pretty exciting piece of casting. We have movies are starting to come out again, which is nice. So we've had a few movies come out. We've had The Little Things come out on HBO Max. We had Judas and the Black Messiah, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. It feels like Hollywood's starting to release stuff again, so I'm excited about that for sure. Who was that? Who just commented on something? Someone just commented on a video. Let me see what this is. Okay. I will do that, Luis. Listen to episode 506 of Abe Lincoln's Top Hat. It features the Lucas brothers and their journey to get this film made. Okay. Who are the Lucas brothers and what is the film that you speak of? I would like to know. I don't know who the Lucas brothers are, but I'm totally going to look into this. I wonder what he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about Last of Us? No, that's going to be a TV show. I don't know. I'm trying to think what else. There's been so much news dropping lately. I'm trying to think what else. So there was a show that you wanted to talk about that you started watching stuff.
Oh yeah, I started watching like just the first episode of a new show called The Great North. It has the same animation style as Bob's Burgers, and I am sad because Bob's Burgers came back on Fox this week. It won't be on Hulu for another week. So I watched that. It stars Nick Offerman. I Googled it. It's like written by a bunch of women, which is awesome. I didn't realize. I only watched the first episode. There's 2 episodes out right now. But I liked it. I laughed, and it's hard to get me to laugh at adult animation most of the time. So I'm definitely gonna keep watching it. It's on Hulu for anyone who wants to watch it. It's about a single dad raising his kids in the Alaskan wilderness, basically. And the first episode kind of just like tracks their past trauma with their mom, and it's good. It's funny. And one thing you learn about comedic shows is it sometimes take them a while to like settle into their certain type of humor.
Mhm.
You notice that when you're binging it, but I'm interested to see how this show grows as I'm watching it as a new viewer as it comes out.
Yeah. That sounds interesting. Is that the same creator, Lauren Bouchard, I believe, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I used to watch way back in the day. One of his first hits was a show called Home Movies. Did you ever watch that?
Oh my God, I remember that show. It was like Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Great
Adult
cartoon.
Swim, like, oh my God, yes. I remember, and I was probably too young to have been watching it, but I was just like, whatever, it's a cartoon. It's got colors and whatnot. I'm gonna watch it.
So I'm looking at Variety here. There's a lot of stuff that's just being announced like left and right. Regina King is producing and starring in a Shirley Chisholm biopic directed by John Ridley.
Ooh.
So that's cool. Mom is ending with season 8 at CBS. That's a good show. Sad to see it go. Love Allison Janney. Love to see her.
Oh, she's hilarious.
6 hours ago, they just announced that there's going to be a Wednesday Addams live action series set at Netflix from director Tim Burton.
Ooh.
That's interesting. What do you think of that? A Wednesday Addams live action series?
I was a massive Tim Burton fan in high school, like 10 years ago. I've kind of fallen out of it in my adulthood because,
except for Sweeney Todd.
Oh, well, Sweeney Todd doesn't age, so. But that's exciting. You said it's a series or a movie?
Yeah. So Variety reported a Wednesday Addams live action series has been ordered at Netflix. The project was first reported as being in development back in October, though no network or streamer was attached at the time. Netflix has given the coming of age series an 8-episode order. It's based on the character originally created by Charles Addams. Wednesday is a young adult TV series described as a sleuthing, supernaturally infused mystery, charting Wednesday Addams' years as a student at Nevermore Academy. She attempts to master her emerging psychic ability, thwart a monstrous killing spree that has terrorized the local town, and solve the supernatural mystery that embroiled her parents 25 years ago, all while navigating her new and very tangled relationships at Nevermore.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I mean, Netflix original series are usually pretty good. I'd like to see something Tim Burton related.
It looks like it says Alfred Goh and Miles Millar created the series, and they're the creators of Smallville, a show I used to love back in the day. And they will serve as the showrunners and executive producers, and Tim Burton is on board to direct and also executive produce. So that's a pretty big pedigree right there behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Looks like Whoopi Goldberg and Jasmine Guy have been cast in something called Harlem. Looks like a TV show. It's a comedy series called Harlem. What is this? So, they've both been cast in recurring roles in Harlem, a series from Tracy Oliver, executive produced by Amy Poehler and Pharrell. Huh. Interesting.
Oh, wow. What a mix.
Yeah. It's a single camera comedy following the lives of 4 women from their college days at NYU and beyond as they navigate relationships, sex, and career ambitions. Goldberg will portray Dr. Elsie Pruitt, a brilliant, intense department head at Columbia University. Guy will play Patricia, Quinn's wealthy mother who wants her daughter to let go of her dream to become a designer and settle down. It looks like this is being produced by Amazon Studios and Universal Television. Other people announced in it are Megan Good, Grace Byers, and I don't know the rest of the people. So that's pretty cool.
I know, so cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening right now. Very interesting. RuPaul Drag Race is having a special documentary at the end of February on VH1 called RuPaul's Drag Race. Corona Can't Keep a Good Queen Down. I love it. So, yeah, so all sorts of fun stuff happening on Variety. The Variety's reporting, which is making me happy because for so long there was not a lot of news out there, and now we're just getting like all this like news of stuff that's coming up now that the vaccine has been released, that I think we're going to get more and more of this, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that is all I have there. So let's get to our next segment. We're going to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah, which Stephanie, you've not seen yet, but we will keep it spoiler free for you. So we're going to talk about Judas and the Black Messiah next. I just watched it. This film is the story of two men, the chairman, Fred Hampton of the Black Panther Party, and Bill O'Neill, who was another member of the Black Panther Party, but also an FBI informant. Bill would be the Judas in the title, and Chairman Fred, the Black Messiah. I have thoughts about it. Alana, I'm going to go to you first. What did you think about this film?
I definitely liked it. Like, it's a film I want to watch again. I watched like half of it, and my mom was out and she had come home early, so I was like, okay, I'll start it over and watch it again with you because I like that part. So I do want to watch it again. Definitely watch it again. It's filmed very beautifully. Like the music, it's shot beautifully. The acting is superb. It's just like knowing the history and stuff. It's like I don't want to be that person, but it does kind of make me go like, well, there's also this part you're leaving out, or well, there's also these things involved, or well, like, you know, that kind of gets in the way. And at the end of the day, like, you do get to see Chairman Fred, which is great. I think, unfortunately, it might be a lot of people's only introduction to Fred Hampton because he's not really mentioned. But you are getting a positive light. You're seeing a beautiful, articulate young leader. But you're also focusing on Bill O'Neill and his situation and what's going on there. So it's not like all about Fred. So it's one of those movies where it's just like, I think it's worth seeing and watching, but I hope it's a great way to learning more about Fred Hampton more than just the end all be all. That's all the story you're gonna get, because there's a lot more to it than just what the film shows.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people actually down on it for how much it focuses on Bill O'Neill, and I was shocked that people were surprised because the name of the movie is Judas and the Black Messiah. Like, exactly. Clearly it's the story of two people, so they're gonna have to share that screen time. I thought that the film was expertly directed. I thought it was gorgeously filmed and directed like expertly well. Shaka King directed it. The performances, Daniel Kaluuya as Chairman Fred was fantastic. I thought he did a wonderful job. But Lakeith Stanfield is just so. There's just something special about that man. Like when he is on screen, you're just like riveted by him. He's such a good actor. And it was cool to see them reuniting. This is, the Get Out duo, right? Back together again. So that was really cool. I don't know the name of the actress that played Deborah. I'm going to look her up. But I loved her.
Was it Dominique Fish something?
Yeah, let me look her up. But
because she was in Project Power.
In Project Power, I've not seen that.
Yeah, that was Deborah, who played Fred Hampton's girlfriend.
Fishback.
Yeah,
Dominique Fishback.
She was in Project Power, so it was like cool to see her. Because at first I didn't even recognize her until I watched a review and somebody was like, "That's her." I'm like, "Oh, that's her." But like different characters, so she definitely has range.
Yeah, she was really, really good. Jesse Plemons as Roy Mitchell was awesome. I'm a big Jesse Plemons fan because I am a fanatic for Breaking Bad, and so it was really cool to see him again. I just love that actor. Martin Sheen, barely recognizable as Hoover, was good in the few scenes we had him in. But yeah, just across the board, expertly directed, expertly acted. Though you did mention, right, that there's a lot of stuff that gets left out because, right, ultimately they have a narrative that they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
And they don't have time to put the totality of this man's life in there. And since this is for a lot of people, the only introduction they have had to the chairman, my hope is that they then look further into this man's life and find out just like all about him and all about the Black Panther movement in Chicago, because it is a wonderful, fascinating, and tragic story. But so you are part of a Living History project at the library, and so I know y'all deep dive into a lot of that history, especially since the person that runs that is a Black Panther himself. So could you talk a little bit to some of those things that were left out or could have been portrayed better?
I think really more of they did a decent job. Like they did actually show like the free breakfast programs and stuff, and they mentioned in the movie pointing out the contradictions. And that's something that we do in Living History and have done a lot, is just looking at, especially at the beginning when we all started meeting, just kind of thinking of like, well, what are the problems in society? What do we need? And looking at the history of what the Panthers did. A lot of stereotypes, at least I've heard in my lifetime, have been just like, oh, well, why don't you, Black people are always on welfare? How come they're always doing, how come people are lazy and uneducated? But then you look at this group of people and it's like, here are people that try to educate, try to have their own clinics, try to have their own breakfast and meal programs for their community, not using a handout of the government. And, learning about that, I feel like that really kind of helps be like, no, it's not about Black people being this, that, or the third, not listening to the negative stereotypes that we're told. It's really about control, because look at what happens when we do try to come together and do that stuff. So that's something I think we've talked about a lot that is kind of missing from the movie. Also, I feel like the anti-Higgs stuff in the movie, of course, the Panthers aren't fans of the police. And of course, with the course of, all of history, but especially last year, we can say that we've had issues with the police. And the movie, I feel like, kind of makes it really big. Like they emphasize a lot of the friction of the police and do it in a way that I feel like kind of tries to get you to empathize with the police side, or at least understand why the police did what they did. I don't know if that's just kind of how I took it or my mom took it and stuff, where it's just like, yes, there were issues with the police, but I feel like if it's not really that deeply understood why there's issues with the police, it kind of just makes it seem like it's anti-cop propaganda. Because that's another thing we've talked about, is just, yeah, we don't like the police, but why don't we like the police? What do they do in the community? What does that mean? So I think a lot of that is also missing. And then just even the socialism itself, because it's not really talked about. They throw a couple keywords in there. They call each other comrade. They don't really go in too much of what socialism practices were and what they tried to implement and what it would even mean.
Yeah, they say comrade and proletariat a lot.
Exactly, but that's, I think on the board they had the like, each one does to his ability, each one takes to his need or something, and that's a quote that's been used before, just kind of saying like, hey, people can like work together and work for what we need instead of being overworked to be exploited and to have that need taken. But yeah, that's not really explained in the movie like too much. That's not really gone over. So it does kind of like feel like it's a little lacking in some areas. So I'm glad that like at least there's opportunities for people to learn things that were missed, but it does kind of suck to have like, yeah, this is the first portrayal of Fred Hampton on the big screen and it's kind of watered down.
Yeah. I would agree with all of those criticisms. So yeah, I think it's a really good movie. I would agree with those criticisms. I don't know if they're necessarily criticisms, but you know, at least for me, but things that I wish that they had room to put more in. But it's like already a 2 hour and 20-minute movie, and you know, we can't also teach all the intricacies of another completely different form of governance, you know. So like I get it, but like also, man, I hope people use this as a springboard to look more into his teachings, into a lot of those communist and socialist teachings of the 60s and 70s, that were preaching this alternative way of living life, because there's very much been a targeted campaign to paint those governmental systems as fundamentally evil, and whereas there's nothing fundamentally evil about any of these systems, right? Like, be it socialism, communism, capitalism, there's nothing fundamentally evil about any of them. All of them are just theoretical. The things that make them evil or good are the people that exploit them, right? And so I wish that we were more open to that conversation, and I hope that people use this to look more into his teachings and whatnot. I would say out of 5, I would give this movie, I would give it a solid 4.3 out of 5. What would you give it, Alana?
I was probably just gonna say 4 out of 5, but I like definitely warrant that 0.3 because it's like the acting, the music, it is a beautiful film, and it is long, but it doesn't feel too long. At least for me. I mean, I like that kind of history, and I like movies like that, but I feel like it was good there. But yeah, I'd say 4 out of 5. Like historical context, you're gonna either need some or want to look up more. But as far as a film about this man and what happened, I'd say it's a good introduction to it.
Bet. Now, Stephanie, so growing up, so I have a question for you. Growing up, did you have a lot of exposure to Black stories or any stories outside of your culture, really?
I mean, besides the usual, like Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks stuff we learned at school, no. And that is a huge, as I'm realizing as an adult, is a huge failure of our education system, among the many failures of our education system. But history is always super whitewashed. And it's like, it'd be as simple as sitting some high schoolers down and showing them this movie. I don't know what it's rated if you can do that, but
I think it's rated R. I would be shocked if it wasn't rated R. I didn't look at the rating, but I'm pretty sure it's rated R.
Well, theoretically, like there should be more films about these people. I mean, and I did not have very much exposure growing up.
The end of the film, like then they show like most of these biopics as they do, right? They have like after the movie ends, and then it's like, this happened to this person, this happened to this person. One thing they said that I did not know. So Bill O'Neill, the one interview he did about this time of his life was, and the sequel to Eyes on the Prize, which is something that I've told, like, I think should be required viewing for like every American. It's a very comprehensive overview of the civil rights movement starting from the 50s through the election of Harold Washington, is where Eyes on the Prize 2 finishes. So the first one goes like 50s and 60s. The second one is like late 60s to like 80s. And it is this amazing overview. But the one interview that this man did was for Eyes on the Prize 2, PBS documentary series. And they play a snippet of that, of what, what does he think his like kids will think of him, when they see this. And, and he talks about how, like, he hopes they see that he was part of the struggle and la 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 and all this other stuff, even though this is the FBI informant that got Chairman Fred, that participated in his death. I won't say he got him killed, because they were going to kill this man anyway. He was kind of, damned if he did, damned if he didn't, kind of just like stuck between a rock and a hard place. But he, and I did not know this, committed suicide the day after he filmed that interview.
Yeah, I had no idea about that either. Even my mom, who had watched Eyes on the Prize, loved that same thing. We were like, oh, it makes sense though.
Yeah. That was shocking. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting though. I mentioned earlier talking about this renaissance of Black cinema, and just a lot of cinema that hasn't really been given its day in the sun. And that's not to say we haven't had Black films in the past, but I feel like we're getting Black films that are more authentic to the Black experience, that are being written and produced and directed by Black actors. We're seeing Tyler Perry opening up his own studio. Right, we're seeing all these amazing strides in that. We see, non-binary filmmakers putting out stuff. We see, this just huge spectrum of artistry that's coming out in what I would assume is in direct opposition to a resurgence in bigotry and hatred. Right, that's what art does, and so I find that fascinating. Stephanie, as openly, as an openly lesbian person, have you noticed more representation in that sphere as you consume media?
I'm bi, but yes.
Or bi, sorry, openly bi.
More LGBT representation.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and it's great, and I think also the internet is a super good resource to find creators and to kind of like go around the path that is easy for like the straight white male to go through. Like for example, just talking about art in general, the charting the Christian music charts right now is a queer Christian artist.
Really?
Yes, and they have written songs about like falling out with the church and still trying to find your worth as a Christian, as a queer Christian. And as a queer Christian myself, it's awesome. And they were very much grown through their presence on TikTok and their presence on social media. And this isn't so much related to like big film blockbusters and studios and all that, but the people who consume the art getting to support the art and seeing it chart like in the Christian music is amazing. And like you said, just a kind of a great response that's come out of the, like you pointing out that it's come out of the resurgent in bigotry. It's like, you're right. Wow, that's something good. Like there will always be something good to come out of these kinds of bad things.
Yeah. What's the name of that queer Christian artist?
I can't remember the name of the artist, but the EP is called Preacher's Kid.
Preacher's Kid. Okay, I have to look into that, because so my pastor, his kid came out non-binary a little while ago, maybe like a little over a year ago, and seeing the way, and my pastor, we've been friends since high school. We're like very, very close since high school. But seeing the way he and his wife just embraced their kid, without hesitation, without agenda, just acceptance, right? Like that's beautiful. So yeah, that's wonderful. I'll have to look into that artist for sure.
Yeah, the artist name is Semler, Semler. I'm not sure of their pronouns.
Okay, I will check that out. But seeing stuff like I May Destroy You. I don't know if either of you watched that.
I've seen some episodes of it, but yes, deep show, beautiful show. I'm like, okay, we have a protagonist that's like a chocolate woman with like cheekbones that could cut anybody, but like just the topics that they deal with in, from what I've seen, just a few, like there's some, it tackles some heavy things.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to see this. Also, like you were saying, Steph, like YouTube creators. I'm following quite a few queer Doctor Who reviewers that I'm just like loving. Council of Geeks is a really good one. And then Jesse Gender is another just awesome YouTuber. And seeing all of these wonderful people being able to like have this like platform where they can be seen and heard, and they have like tons of followers. And also noticed that their comment sections are a lot less toxic than some of like the cis like YouTubers that I follow. Which is refreshing, like, you know, much more supportive, you know, atmosphere in the comments sections. You know, I tend to try and avoid comment sections for that reason. You know, most nerd comment sections are people bitching about Rian Johnson destroying this Star Wars universe, or you know, or how dare they put a black person in Star Wars, you know, things like that. So it's very refreshing to see that. I wonder if people felt more comfortable coming forward because there's a female doctor, you know, and like the strides that, you know, just even sent all the way back to like when Russell T Davies restarted Doctor Who, is, you know, Russell T Davies is openly gay. And infused a lot of queerness into Doctor Who with, you know, the pansexual, you know, Captain Jack, you know. So it's just cool to see that, even like TikTok, right? And seeing like women openly embracing their sexuality and doing like Alana, you just did that. I don't want to say it wrong because I'm old. Bust it. Am I saying it right? Bust it challenge. Bust it challenge, right? Like, by the way, Alana, Bust It challenge is raw as fuck. Like, didn't know you had the moves. Go ahead.
Oh my God, I can follow you. Can I follow you?
Yes, I'm a militant hippie.
Okay. Oh gosh, my TikTok opened.
But it has been really fun to like participate and see, and there's so many different variations, because there's like the really sexy ones where you're just like, oh my God, like good for you, you got the needs of Megan Thee Stallion times 5. And then you see really funny ones where they can kind of like play off of being older, or they can just make fun of, you know, whatever happens, or do something completely different. So it's nice to see people be appreciated and being able to feel confident in themselves. I've been really getting into a lot of indigenous TikToks and Instagram reels. So that's been, I've been learning a lot about like cultures and dances and all the different variations. And I'm like, oh, this is a great way to be able to have everyone embrace themselves. I was actually watching a video essay talking about how like the bimbo movement is coming back now because of some TikToks.
Yes, I love those.
What's the bimbo movement?
Well, just like girls have been, you know, getting called out for being like, you know, liking girly things, liking pink, you know, being positively and sexual and stuff like that. So they get called out for being a bimbo, but that's been coming back because girls are like, I can be sexy, I can like makeup and girly things, but also be smart, also have a career, also, you know, maybe not even be a girl, like, you know, be a non-binary bimbo. They got, I think, what are they called? Like I'm gonna ruin the name, but they have a gender neutral term for bimbo, which I love. The himbo is like a new thing more coming back, where it's like guys that are conventionally attractive, but they're not just stupid, cute guys. They're like, yeah, I'm conventionally attractive and I like science. Like we can be more people and not just our looks, which I think is really cool to have that being embraced.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, the great thing about the TikTok algorithm is that it shows you content that you are interested in. Like it learns you the more you use it. So that kind of keeps away the hate comments, which
True.
really nice for minority creators and people who are trying to reach a specific audience.
Mm-hmm. It's also cool because it's content that's not centered on our trauma. It's content that's like centered on our joy and us just living life. So we just talked about Judas and the Black Messiah, which is a wonderful film. It's also a very hard film to watch.
Oh yeah.
Right. And like all of the films about Black folk that like truly blow up are like almost always just like trauma based and just like, oh yeah, that was really good, but then also like I cried myself to sleep and I was like emotionally fragile for 2 weeks, right? Like it's like that kind of film, and it's some weird sort of like catharsis where people watch it to feel like it's like I have to watch this so that I can feel absolved from racism, right? Like, oh yeah, I saw it. I thought what they did to Chairman Fred was horrible, right? I am absolved of my complicitness to institutional racism. No, that's not how it works. Actually go out and do something, right? But then the stuff that celebrates like just Black life and love and queer life and queer love, like that doesn't get the attention. I feel like that's starting to change. We're starting to see those things get attention too, which is great. So I came up with for Black History Month, my Black Joy list. And these are all movies that I love that don't feel like they're dominated by a slave narrative or the after effects of slavery. That just feel like Black people living life and just showing just like the beauty of Blackness, right? So, number 10, Girls Trip. Love Girls Trip. It's so much fun. Not only is it Black people just like living life, it's Black women being unapologetically Black women, being it's a raunchy sex comedy that's centered on Black women, which is cool and revolutionary in and of itself, because so often women are not allowed to express their sexuality in that way. So love it.
Yes. And successful Black women too, like which is nice to see. Where it's just like we can do what we want to
do. Right, like they're successful. They're living their life. They're sexy. They're whatever they want to be. Right, they are defining who they are, which is great. Number 9, Friday. This isn't in any particular order. I don't know that this is in but like this, I'm just listing them off. Friday, which is set in South Central LA, but it is just funny as hell, and people just living their lives and being funny and being flawed and being whole people. I think that it's a wonderfully written film, and yeah, I love it. So that's number 9. Also super cool. Like I quote that movie so much in my life. Like probably the most famous one from Friday, probably "You got knocked the fuck out, man." That's probably like the most popular one. But my favorite is when dude goes to try and get his bike back from Devo.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like, I don't care, you keep it. My dad, he be tripping. And then Devo's like, no, it's cool, homie. Right this way. This is like what comes right before you just got knocked the fuck out. Like that whole sequence is my favorite. and he just turns around, and gives him the uppercut. He flies across. Oh, it's so good.
I just love the dad. I was like, "You want some too, old man?" And then the dad's just no.
No.
Yeah.
Number 8, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. You ever see that one, Alana?
I have not. I know that's like on my list of movies I need to see, but I definitely know that's on. That was Wayne's brothers in there, one of them, right?
Wayne's brothers. Yeah, it was Keenan Ivory Wayans was the main character. I think he also directed it.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 7. This is a big one. This is one of my favorite films, Coming to America.
Okay.
Another super quotable one, and the sequel is coming out next month. Coming to America. Just an awesome movie, and in my head canon is that it's a prequel to Black Panther. So that's my head canon.
I dig it.
Yeah. Number 5, The Wiz.
Oh yes.
That's the whitest thing I could say. I've seen that one.
Is that the first one on this list that you've seen stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one to see, though. Very good.
Ease on Down the Road is such a good song. Friggin' love it. Number 4 on my Black Joy list, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, such a good movie.
I love it because it tells kids that anybody can wear the mask. Anybody can be a hero. Being a hero is, accepting responsibility, and that has no color, that has no gender. It's such a good movie. Like every time when he finally has his outfit, right? Like he's in his skin that's unique to him, and he jumps off the thing, and someone's calling me, messing up my. Sorry, 1 second. Whenever someone calls my cell phone, it like shuts everything down on my computer. Yeah, like it's just such a beautiful story and a beautiful moral. Number 3, Roll Bounce with Little Bow Wow, the roller skate movie, and the very young Megan Good. As well. It's all about just hanging out at the roller rink, and the soundtrack is just dope as fuck. It's great. The trailer had used Bill Withers' "Lovely Day," which is one of my favorite songs. So that made me happy. Number 2 on my list. Once again, this is not in any particular order. So it being number 2 doesn't mean I think it's better than Coming to America or Spider-Man or anything like that. But Little, which came out in 2019, directed by produced by Marseille Martin, who is Diane on Blackish. When that came out, she officially became the youngest producer in Hollywood history, like the youngest person to produce a movie. Shut up, Sharonda. You have the link. You come in here and you tell me to my face that my list is garbage. You come in here and you tell me that to my face. I want to hear your list. This is my list. Come in here. You already have the link. You were supposed to be in here to talk about this stuff. You come in here right now. You tell me to my face this is garbage. That's right. Bow Wow. You are my internet troll, Sharonda. You are my internet troll. Come in here. Get your butt in here. And then number one on the list, which might be number 1 even if this was in order, it'd definitely be in the top 3, is Love and Basketball, which is one of the best romance films of all time. Love and Basketball. Sharon and I have watched a lot of things, so I want her to come in here with her Ravenclaw as tell me to my face why she thinks my list is garbage. So those are my top 10 on my Black Joy list. So yeah. Alana, what about you? What's some Black movies that you love that are kind of rooted in joy?
Joy or like fun. I do like Boomerang. I just watched beginning half of it with my mom, but that's usually who I watch these movies with. But yeah, Boomerang I liked because it's just like nice to have like,
right here because I love
romantic
that movie.
comedy and yeah, it's just like to see Eddie Murphy and everything like in his prime. Because I came around, I knew Eddie Murphy for like Shrek, Mushu. So to see him before when he was like everywhere, it was like nice to see that. Think Like a Man. I love Think Like a Man. I'm a sucker for that movie. Like I could watch that movie again and again. Megan Good's in that one. Taraji P. Henson. I love her. And I feel like that one again, romantic kind of dating wise, but I'm like, it's funny and it's like they bring me joy. Also, like Friday has always been one of my favorite movies. Like that one for sure. It's probably one of the first Black movies I really watched that wasn't like a history timepiece dealing with anything traumatic. It was just like, okay, like some friends getting high and chilling out on their day off because one of them got fired. Like I dig it.
When their neighbor come over, the height come over, and she's like, Craig, let me borrow your VCR. He's like, what?
Yeah, I got your VCR real quick.
Get it.
Who's that? Go ask her for some money.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, those are really great ones. What about you, Steph? What are some LGBTQ movies that you feel like are not like necessarily really rooted in like trauma points? They're kind of rooted in like things that fill you with joy.
Well, if I'm allowed to add one to
bring it
list, I watched a film for the Bastille Film Club that happened at the beginning of quarantine called Girlhood. It's a French film. It definitely has some trauma in it, but there is a beautiful scene where the main cast of young Black girls are dancing to Diamonds by Rihanna. And they're all in a hotel room and they're celebrating together. And there was a lot of discussion in like our film club thing that we did about that feeling of like young Black joy between those girls. And just that moment in that movie sticks out to me specifically. So if you haven't seen that one, it's called Girlhood, and you have to find like I can't remember where we streamed it, but I know it's streaming somewhere with like subtitles. And it's really good. As for LGBT movies about joy, I think we're still kind of learning how. A lot of LGBT movies out right now are like rooted, like the only one I can think of right now is Love, Simon, because me and Abby just watched that for Valentine's Day. But that's a coming of age film very much rooted in the process and the trauma that can come with coming out.
Wasn't that pretty divisive in the queer community, that movie?
Yes, because it's very much, and I've read the book and seen the movie, and it's very much for white cis.
All right, so we have Sharonda here.
Ooh, look
who has deemed herself the better judger of Black movies than Maui. Sharonda, what's your list then? What's your list? Come on, Cletus.
Okay. The Wiz is on there.
Right. Okay, that's on my list too. So it sounds like we're in agreement on some things. All right, what else is on your list? What else is on your list?
Love and Basketball. We're good with that.
Also on my list too. Okay, so I don't know why you're talking crap.
Bow Wow in it. Like,
Roll Bounce is a good movie. It's a fun movie.
Are you kidding me?
I will fight you on that.
Will fight. That's just ridiculous.
What's the matter with Roll Bounce? What's the matter with Roll Bounce?
Where do I start? Like, what are you talking about? We're talking about the great movies of Black joy, and you put Bow Wow on that list?
Yeah, I did. And I stand by it. I stand by it.
Communicate it. Okay. No. Wait. Okay. So I do have this movie, but I'm thinking, is it a trauma movie? City of God. Huh.
Ooh. That's a really good movie. I don't know that movie like brings me joy, but I do love that movie.
It's beautiful, right?
It's a beautiful film. I don't know that that's a joy movie for me. Also, by the way, don't trash on the list that brings me joy. I ain't gonna trash on your joy list. If you got on your joy list, that's fine.
Preacher's Wife with Whitney, the Preacher's Wife.
That's a good movie. That's a good movie.
Amazing.
It's not in my top 10 on my joy list, but it's a good movie.
Happy Black movies coming to America.
That's also on my list. See?
Okay. I'm gonna get you, sucker.
That's also on my list. Like most of my list is on your list, and then you talking about my list is trash.
That was trash. That was trash. Okay, you get nothing. Get trash. And then Spider-Man is not a black movie, Maui. We've already had this conversation.
What's not a black movie?
It's not a black movie.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. I don't care what you say.
It's not. What about Crooklyn? Oh, that was happy and funny, right?
Yeah.
But also, it was sad at the end. Oh crap!
Yeah, I mean, Spike always would like try and lull you into a sense of false security and just be like, "Bam!"
I know. I was like, wait a minute. This was but Crooklyn was good, and then I didn't even have my list. I just got so upset when I heard you say Bow Wow and Spider-Man that I had to put on this thing with my hair bonnet. And I was like, come on here just to defend quality black movies. Oh, still
he said when like most of my list is on your list.
Oh, did you see the one with the Duke and I was gonna say the lady from Scandal's husband? Sylvie,
the lady from Scandal's husband.
Kerry Washington's husband. What's the name of it? Sylvie's
Note.
Sylvie's Note. Yeah, that's her husband. That's a really good one. I really like that one.
Okay. What's up, Brian? I hear you back there.
Yeah, he's in the background.
What's up?
I mean, you're live. Oh,
you live.
I was just on the phone having a conversation. Internet. I'm out. Yeah, all right.
Okay. So, Sharonda, while we have you on before we log off here, I want real quick, give me your thoughts on Black Judas or Judas and the Black Messiah.
So I was not a fan of the overall movie, but I will say this. I've been watching the interviews, specifically the interviews done by Trevor Noah. Have you seen this interview? And it seems like he really empowered and like he really became Fred Hampton. And so originally I didn't think the movie was very good, not because the movie wasn't good, but just it was so much about the informant. Like I'm over these movies where it's like the conflicted white FBI agent, like, is he bad or was he being pushed by these other things? And it was just way too much about them and not enough about Chairman Hampton. I also think that when you have movies about leaders, it should be inspiring. And I left the end of that movie feeling like depressed and like there's no way we can ever win this. Like it just felt overwhelming. Like the amount of challenges that went, against him. Also, I think that it didn't really give a critical enough lens to capitalism, which is hard because it's a movie, right? Like it's a capitalist movie trying to make money. But a lot of the genius in Fred Hampton, crap, he was 20 years old. He was like 20 and 21, and he just was able to understand politics and capitalism strategy of divide and conquer better than almost anyone. He was a brilliant man, and not only was he brilliant, he was also a dude from Maywood, right? Like, and so it's really, I don't know, it's really shit. I'm glad the movie's out because glad people know his name and we can research more. But the story to me is that a 20-year-old from Maywood, from a single mom, could scare the government and almost change the world, you know, and that's what people are afraid of, and that you don't have to have millions of dollars, you don't have to have a college degree, you know, you don't have to have gone to Harvard or study whatever, you know, like that Fred was extraordinary because he was ordinary, and that he was one of us, and there's so many Freds out there, and also, like, I think the Black Panther Party doesn't get the credit it deserves for real policy wins. Like the free breakfast program is probably one of the biggest organizational wins of all times, of like a liberal group. Free healthcare clinics. You know, they brought acupuncture because they were studying Maoism, you know, like the People's Law Clinic that's still around, people who are practicing now. Oh, your mom's on there. I can't say anything bad about you now, Maui. I'm sorry, Mama. Yes, he's great. He's got great taste. Great movies and music.
Thanks, Mom.
Sorry, but no, so I think that's part of the frustration, is that I think the Black Panther Party was this amazingly successful organizing group that brought around real social change. And I can't help but think about right now, I have one of my mentors, Billy Che Brooks, who was the Minister of Education, and he talks a lot about, you know, heightening contradictions. And I just keep thinking, like, if Fred was here now, what would he be doing in the pandemic, right? Like when they weren't giving COVID shots. Wouldn't that be like having a Black Panther Party set up vaccines or clinics or stipends, or there's so many things that we can do as organizers, and that we learn those lessons from the Panthers and the Black Panther Party, and sorry, I keep going on and on, but also the civil rights movement was really, it was great. Dr. King was great, and all these people were great, but it was really like middle class, kind of bougie Blacks, you know, like they're the ones that are the leaders, and they're the ones that are speaking on behalf of the race. And like Fred was like, he was with the people, and it's nothing more powerful than someone who loves us. He loved us. He loved us. He loved us. And he believed in us. And did you change your screen name? Anyways.
I changed everyone's screen name.
Okay. Sorry. This is why. Oh,
I'm slick. I'm slick.
Okay.
No, I think everything you said is spot on. I think that's a wonderful synopsis of it. Thank you for hopping on. Also, like right now with the wrap on your head, like you look just like my mama right now, and it's weirding me out. So, like you have Major Marion Hatcher, Reverend Dr. Marion Hatcher, my mother.
I had on a bonnet, and I just wasn't ready to be that real yet on television. I wasn't ready to put that out there during Black History Month. Yeah. I figured this was a better look for the people.
Yeah. All right, so that's our broadcast for the night. I am the better judger of everything than Sharonda. Sharonda is the better judger of nothing. And then we have the "Don't Call Me Out Like That," even though it's too late. It's already out there. Super Hulakian.
No,
Swifty,
no. You're gonna get me up at school if you call me a super Hulakian.
And of course, the hashtag Busted Champion. So
You know,
yeah. Tune in next week. Stephanie will be hosting next week with some special guests. It won't be a live broadcast next week, but we will have our dope next week. Excited to see what you come up with, stuff, and be sure to tune in, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
everyone, take care. Thank
Nuh-uh.
you.
How is it?